Hi, my name is Dr. Cynthia Marie Whitley. I'm a minister, but not your conventional minister. The name of this podcast is Be Aware. Be aware of your thoughts. Each week, we will review self-realization through storytelling. At times, I hate being held accountable. This happens especially when I've taught my children to take responsibility for their actions, or someone has taken the same transformational courses as I did. We will pull each other's coattails when we are not living powerfully, or one or the other is making a poor decision. We will unapologetically point out when the other is not speaking constructively for his or her benefit. The indicator of whether I've decided to be true to my intention is based on how peaceful I feel performing the task or interaction during the encounter. I know when I am compromising or settling instantly, because making the compromising decision doesn't feel good. I feel angry because I submitted against my will once again. So lesson 1, to determine if you are making a decision true to your heart, is your feeling. All you must do is ask yourself, how do I feel going against what I truly desire, and how do I feel making this decision? This week, I learned about how often I defend, rationalize, or justify a conclusion I've drawn when I'm making meaning of what someone else has said. I asked a close companion to accompany me on a trip. In my listening, I concluded that he was lying about wanting to go with me. He said yes, but after a few seconds of hesitation. That convinced me that he did not want to go with me on this vacation. My computer of a brain insisted that he didn't really want to go because he wouldn't have hesitated. You couldn't tell me otherwise. I began rationalizing why my perspective was correct to the friend who heard the interaction. He said that I was making the hesitated yes mean more than the person may have intended. I was offended that he didn't understand my point of view. In fact, I was upset that he didn't hear what I heard. I argued, how could you not hear it? He said that he heard the hesitation, but it didn't have to mean what I thought it meant. I persisted. They lied. They said other than how they felt. He said, how can you know why they hesitated? Just because they hesitated didn't mean that they really didn't want to accompany you. Since we were more in a playing mood, I shouted, they lied, they lied, they lied, they lied. I know what I heard. We both giggled. I confessed. Many times I wanted to say no, but I said yes instead. He said, that was you then. That still doesn't mean that your friend lied. He told me that I was projecting what I had done and sometimes still do, saying no when I wanted to say yes, and vice versa. Upon any decision, something clicked inside of me and my perspective changed. Neville Goddard says, nothing comes from without. All things come from within, from the subconscious. Also, and I quote, Neville Goddard, for life makes no mistakes and always gives a man that which man first gives himself. I gave in not against my will, but because it made sense. I had to admit that I didn't know what was in the person's mind, and that it was unfair of me to say with such authority that he was not telling the truth. What I discovered was that I lied. I lied. I lied every time I said yes when I wanted to say no. I lied every time I said no but wanted to say yes. I lied because of the intense transformational work I've participated in. I quickly and genuinely forgave myself for not being true to myself and not being true to my feelings in the past. I was defending, justifying, and rationalizing why this person was lying so that I could be right. And I must say, I felt hurt. I don't like rejection. I projected my way of being many times upon the other person that said yes when I was convinced that they wanted to say no. Not having good thoughts toward the person was not nice. Neville Goddard also says, leave the world alone and change the conception of yourself. I've loaned money when I didn't really have it. I've accompanied friends to places where I didn't want to go. I've accepted assignments at work when I wanted to say no. One of the main experiences of saying yes when I wanted to say no was when, as a young woman, I started covering my head with turbans for religious reasons. I had always believed that my hair was my crown, and I had taken great pride in styling my hair every single day as a younger woman. It was part of the religious requirements for a married woman to wear her head covered. As I covered up my hair, I buried a part of my pride. In truth, many times I wanted to say no, but I said yes instead. I hid again as I had done in my youth and covered my self-expression. I smiled and appeared to be happy, but because of the law of nature, I know my sadness showed. There was a smile on my face. It was only there to fool the public. I wore a mask while making this podcast to indicate the hiding that was taking place and to indicate that when we hide, we cover up a part of ourselves. So how did I feel? I was sadder than sad. I was sad. And most of all, I didn't feel pretty. What I have accepted and what I know now is that feeling is the secret. If it doesn't feel good, I can decide based on that factor. So it is my goal to stay true to my feelings, and I'm petitioning you to stay true to your feelings. God has given us an indicator to maneuver in life. It is our feelings. Just ask yourself, how do I feel before saying yes or no? The decision that makes you feel good is your lining up with your own God and the God in you. Don't force yourself to go against your will. When we make decisions against our will, we may have many negative experiences with the person who didn't get the response they hoped for. But be strong, because if you go against your will, your insincerity will show up in the encounters, even though you may try to hide it. You cause yourself stress and can even make yourself sick as you continue to be a person out to make other people happy. And we don't have to rationalize or justify our position. Just be true to yourself as you move forward. Let's begin to put ourselves first, follow our instincts, and politely decline what we want to decline. Others will accept your decision and stay around if they are in a place of accepting your choice and respecting you as a person. If the outcome is not favorable, then leave the matter alone. Peace and shalom. If you can't wait until next week, visit Looking for Self series on Amazon.com under Gershona Cynthia Whitley.